Hi, my name's Freya and I'd like to introduce a short exercise on notating sounds that you might like to try. So I think this is something really interesting to think about in relation to writing of any sort. That might be writing for its own sake, or it could be writing as part of a larger project or something at the side of that. So for example, it might be a script or a text that's going to be shown as part of a multidimensional work. Part of the reason I think thinking about alternative ways of notating sound is interesting and useful is because of the way it can really be used to drill down into the particular qualities a sound has and emphasize different elements of the sound itself. So that might be to do with loudness, tone, duration, or the context around that. But it also might be to do with emphasis or feelings, interruption, rhythm, and other qualities that you might like to draw out. So I have pulled out one example of some different ways that we might notate a phone going off just to illustrate this. And then I have some questions and little activities that you can try if you'd like with exploring this. So regarding this example of the phone, the first one is simply, I've written, our awkward conversation was interrupted by the insistent buzzing of my phone against the table as it rang. So pretty straightforwardly, a description. Included in the description are some ideas, this interruption, it's insistent, buzzing, we have those ideas. So we have some ideas of that, but fairly conventional. The next is, in square brackets, a phone vibrates. So that is like a caption of what's happening. The third example is a bzz, 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 bzz written, and it's in italics to give a sort of onomatopoeic idea, I guess, of a phone buzz. And then the last is 4 sets of tildes that I've used as sort of symbols to represent this. And this is very simple. I just wanted to use this as some way into the conversation about alternative forms of notation so we can start thinking about what they do. But really, I want you to have a go yourself. So just to begin thinking about sounds in your environment, how they feel, I've got 3 quick prompts. So in each case, I want you to think about what you would put in the blank. So the first is, outside my house, you can hear blank. Outside my house, you can hear. So the second is, I can't bear the sound of blank. I can't bear the sound of. And then the third is, the sound of blank makes me feel melancholy. The sound of makes me feel melancholy. Okay. So now I'd like you to just really quickly write down 5 things that make a noise. Don't put too much thought in, just 5 things that make a noise. Go. Great. So hopefully you've got 5 now. Now, I want you to just choose one of those and just focus for a few moments on imagining the sound. So really trying to bring that sound to life in your mind. So what qualities of it are you aware of? Yeah. And I'm interested if you find that easy or not to bring a sound to mind in that way. You've just written it down. Can you really bring it to mind in an experiential way? And then what I want to do following on from that is take the sound you're imagining and write it down. Write down a word to describe it. And then we're going to have a minute or two to see if you can note down 5 other ways that you could notate it. So feel free, get experimental, think about what you could do, what they might bring out of the sound. And I'll let you know when a minute or 2 is up. Great. So hopefully you've got a few down there. You can always return to this later. I'd be really interested to know when you think of these different notations you've come up with. Are there any you particularly like, or what do you think they do for readers? You know, what dimension of the sound do they emphasize? And what will the experience of the reader be as they read these? How can you direct them using the way you notate the sound effectively? And does it evoke particular elements of it more strongly than others, for example, or why might you use them? So some things to think about as you keep experimenting with this. But thanks for joining. Bye.